And I am fighting now and making sure that equal pay for women and equal pay for men in sport, in all codes, not only in cricket. Cricket is leading with that, by the way, but we need women to be paid the same as men. And that is one of the things, as the minister, that I've said to myself, we must leave that thing, say financial challenges when it comes to men. But by men's sport we pay. We don't talk about financial challenges. When it comes to women that must be paid, we talk about financial challenges. We should work our things in this fashion that men and women get paid the same. And I'm going to fight for that. I'm not going to listen to stories about we are both financially castrated. There's never a right time to do the right thing. I'm not going to listen to nonsense of, no, we can't do this. When are we going to do this if we can't do it now? Then we must then put a freeze on male salaries in order for women to, on male increases, in order for women to get the same. I'm not the type of minister that signs stuff that gathers dust. I'm an action man, and that's...
Yeah, guys, so McKenzie is actually bullish once more in his fight for social cohesion and also equality all across South Africa. It was really nice and really interesting to watch him here welcoming the women's cricket team. I think he said that the report says that they beat Australia. I think they really weren't able to get the gold anyway, but you can see here he's really excited, really happy to really welcome the team back, really bringing that energy into the nation, really bringing positive energy into the space of sports, but also in his larger pursuit of social cohesion and equality in South Africa. I think it's really been impressive so far. I think there was even a report, I'll be making a video on that, I think I found it on Biz News, that he has become the third most popular politician in South Africa, for different reasons. And so I think he's really working a lot to really put in the efforts that to put in that positive energy, social cohesion, unity that South Africa actually needs with its diverse cultures and all that. So I think he's doing a good job. But anyway, one of the really bullish sort of like pushes now he's actually trying to push for in his fight for social cohesion and equality is to really reduce the gender gap in sport. We know that the gender gap issue has actually been a problem in South Africa. I think I've seen many reports in my little research I've been doing, on the disparities between the pay for, women and men who actually work the same jobs. And so in the arena of sports, McKenzie really wants to push that women and men must be paid, the same, because they bring the same entertainment to the table. They bring the same energy also to the table, although probably many might argue that some men do some harder sports, but sports generally works with your muscles. Sports generally works with your mindset. And I think the engagement and the kind of like investment in energy, in discipline that the men actually also put into their sports, the women also do the same. Otherwise, no one will go anywhere, especially in the arena of sports. And so this is McKenzie really pushing that pay should actually, be done in an equal way, where both men and women in sport must be paid the same. Let's listen to what he has. It's a really powerful speech here he has on this matter, and I'll be back with some really interesting analysis on this whole gender pay issue in South Africa.
Minister, I'm Harry Willifield from SABC News.
Yeah.
We're live on Channel 404. Just tell us what your thoughts are on the women's cricket team and how they performed at the World Cup.
They performed excellent. They have knocked out Australia, which I think they've won it 7 times before. They've knocked out Australia, and I mean this was a development team the other day. Look at them today. I mean they have opened the gates for women's sport in particular, and I am fighting now and making sure that equal pay for women and equal pay for men in sport, in all codes, not only in cricket. Cricket is leading with that, by the way, but we need women to be paid the same as men. And that is one of the things, as the minister, that I said to myself, I'm very proud of this team. That's why I came here today. We have one of the best teams in the world. I mean, it was just bad luck, but they've done well. They've done us proud, and they're our girls, man. They're the best.
If you say equal pay, what's the financial challenges for achieving that? Is it as easy as...
You see, we must leave that thing, say financial challenges when it comes to men. But by men's sport we pay. We don't talk about financial challenges. When it comes to women that must be paid, we talk about financial challenges. We should work our things in this fashion that men and women get paid the same. And I'm going to fight for that. I'm not going to listen to stories about we are both financially castrated. There's never a right time to do the right thing. And the right thing to do is now. And the right thing to do, and I'm going to pressurize sporting codes. And I've been meeting with cricket, And I mean, my Department of Sport, Arts and Culture has been giving money for this particular team to be developed. And you see what happened. So my next fight is not professionalization, because the previous minister fought for them to be professionalized. It happened. Look at the results. The next fight is equal pay in sport for women and men. I mean, they both entertain, they both play, they both risk the same injuries. They both. Why is it that there's a discrepancy? I'm not going to listen to nonsense of, no, we can't do this. When are we going to do this if we can't do it now? Then we must then put a freeze on male salaries in order for women to, on male increases, in order for women to get the same.
Speaking about
and I'm ready with my proteas.
Speaking about sustainability, Minister, going to be looking at making sure development happens at age group level for the girls?
No, we have to. We have to make sure that, you know, I always say to people that it's an exciting time for sport in this country at the moment. And we are there. We are basically winning everything. If you've been following sport, you see we've been winning non-stop. I think you guys are a bit tired of winning. And I got bad news for you. We're going to continue winning. But, you know, grassroots, we got to get involved in schools. We need to put, you know, you can't blame the private schools. We need to emulate the private schools. We need to make sure that in cricket, the reason why you need a lot of mental efforts by different coaches. We need to put coaches in schools, and hence we've signed that the Government of National Unity has prioritized school sport. The GNU has signed the memorandum for school sports. Under the GNU, Baba, we are moving.
And on the note of school sports then, is there an understanding between the Department of Education and Sport? Where's that intersection?
No, definitely. What we've done, we've already signed the memorandum of agreement between us. The MOU has already been signed. We are now going to, both of us, what we've signed is going to find expression in our budget. Because if there's no budgetary, and that's what happened in the past, they wrote the memorandums were there, but there was never money provided or provision being made. This time, in the next budget, you will see school sport, so many millions. You can't produce nothing if you don't invest in school sport.
Does the Department of Education have a buy-in?
100%. We've got a very good education minister in Mrs. Khwarube. She's very good at what she's doing. She understands we are when it comes to that. We've got total buy-in from her. I've got a buy-in. And as you know, it's never going to gather dust. I'm not the type of minister that signs stuff that gathers dust. I'm an action man, and that is going to find expression. Look at what the woman has done. Remarkable. Do you know where Australia? For me, this final was neither here nor there. They have made us happy by beating Australia.
Do we have timelines on how we're going to handle these school sports and how things are going to be rolled out?
100%. We're starting in February next year. When the schools open, we are moving. We are not giving you dates. February next year, you will see school sport being different. Look at Walaza. Look, Walaza is an example of what happens when you put money and resources, and that's what Kuru did. They begged Walaza. And I mean, like, you know that we need funding in sport. More funding. Corporates are willing to give money, but federations need to give corporates the assurance that the money will not go buy nice cars. The money will be used for development. I mean, Walaza, there was no money for him to go to the youth. He had to jump in as the Minister of Sport, Arts and Culture. 10 minutes before the flight closed, with the money. And look at how many medals we got.
Minister,
yes, ma'am.
Quite a significant progress if you look at the squad in terms of transformation. How important is it for us to maintain that and even be better, just to represent the next generation and business?
I think the mistake that we've made in the past, for 30 years we've made the same mistake. We all keep on asking, why is there no black people in the squad? Why is there no black people? You want equal outcomes, but you don't have equal access. Most black people here don't have pole vaulting at this school. Then you want to ask tomorrow why is there no pole vaulting at the Olympics blacks. We must be honest that you can't to be a champion in pole vaulting equipment at the school. Who's to blame for that? We, as government, we must fall on our sword and make sure we fix that. Swimming pool, we don't have a black Olympic swimmer because there's no swimming pools at the schools, and we must take responsibility. People, we must take responsibility as leaders of this country, and we are fixing that. There must be pools. Have you seen how deep is the Olympic pool? Imagine you put somebody for the first time in there, it's going to drown.
So, do you see a World Cup coming from South African cricket? We've made 3 finals, men and women. Do you see it coming in the near future? Is this the start of great things?
We are the only country that came the closest to it that didn't win it. So it's on its way. We are the closest country in the world, the men and the women. People say they choked. They didn't choke. That is nonsense. What choke? There's no choke. There's sport. There can only be one winner. And this time it wasn't us. It was them. Next time it will be us. The fact that all they need is a homegrown advantage. With a homegrown advantage. You know, South African supporters are different. Once we're there, they were going to win. I've got no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, brilliant, guys. So I think I found a really interesting analysis on News 24 about this whole gender inequality, especially in terms of payments and salaries in South Africa. And I thought it was really interesting to just analyze and really understand where women and men are in terms of payment for the same job. So the analysis says that behind SA's glorious gender gap rank, women earn up to 35% less than men for the same job. All right. It says that while South Africa has a small gender gap than Switzerland, Denmark, Australia, and the US, it is no cause for celebration because it has now ranked out of 146 countries globally. It has ranked 20th. All right. And it says that South Africa then regressed from 12th place in 2010 to the 20th. And it says that the worst part of it all is South Africa's dismal showing on equal pay, and that despite more women doing better than men at universities. All right. So South Africa has a smaller gender gap than Switzerland, Denmark, Australia, and the USA, and many other developed countries. It says that South Africa also ranks among leaders in political empowerment, which sits at number 13 out of 146 countries, according to the World Economic Forum's Global Gender Gap Report. It says that at 0.78, South Africa's score is better than the 0.71 when it got when the World Economic Forum published the inaugural Gender Gap Report in 2005. Now, it says that the perfect score for this whole gender gap report is 1, all right? South Africa got 0.78, which was actually a really fair one. But then it says that there were these other countries that were pointed out by this report from the WEF, Namibia, Rwanda, and 13 other countries. South Africa has actually closed more than 70% of its overall gender gap, all right? Alongside Namibia, Rwanda, and 13 other countries. Now, where's the problem? It says the problem, however, is that while South Africa took the 20th position in its overall rankings, just above Switzerland, 3 places ahead of Denmark, and also 23 places ahead of the United States, South Africa is really doing well. It says that it is little cause for celebration, according to this analysis, because it says that South Africa has regressed from 18th place in its global rankings in 2005 to 12th. You know, as at 2010. So it says that the fact that South Africa has really gone down, you know, in this assessment is disappointing when considering that initially South Africa held the highest position in gender gap reports of all African countries. So what's the reason for this? It's really strange. It says that this report actually points out that countries like Namibia and Rwanda now repeatedly rank highly than South Africa, and that there are no real signs of positive movement in South Africa. So it says that furthermore, many companies in South Africa, they still have this vast, pervasive gender gap, you know, issue, because most people in senior roles in South African companies are men. All right. So that's one big issue driving this whole problem with pay. There's a 2022 report that showed that in SA, women earn between 23% and 35% less than what men do in the same job. All right. Despite the problem of unequal pay in South Africa, only 16.6% of designated employers reported barriers to equality in their remuneration and benefits. This means This means many don't properly scrutinize their pay practices or even attempt to justify them through other means. So in other words, there isn't an intentional sort of like drive to also kind of like assess this whole disparity between male and female payment at the level of higher employees. It's not really something that's really important to them in South Africa. And I think that's actually something that should be taken into consideration. It argues that many companies still base their pay for new employees on their previous salaries rather than what men in the same job earn. Now, it also says that there's also another senior inequality analyst here saying that Statistics SA estimates that South Africa's gender wage gap sits at 30% across the board. And it says that this is not because South Africa's women are less educated or skilled than their male counterparts. It says that SA ranked first for enrollment of women at tertiary institutions, and according to the Post-School Education and Training PSET indicator strength for 2010 to 2019, while there are still more male students in science, technology, engineering, and STEM field, many female graduates outstripped their male counterparts over the same period. All right, so there's really no particular explanation why the gender pay gap should still have disparities, despite the fact that it seems that the graduation rate for women is better and higher than the men in SA. Now, what's the reason for this? This researcher blames it blames the extremely slow pace of transformation in South Africa's corporate sector as the culprit in this whole thing. So there's a really slow pace of transformation in South Africa's corporate sector on, this whole gender wage thing. I don't know, it probably is the patriarchy that is embedded in the society. It's really difficult for many African countries to really bring themselves to really fight for that equality in pay. I think Kenya is one of the countries that are really intentional, because I think it has a 1/3 gender rule where in every position or so, I think in Kenya there has to be a 1/3 allocation for women or something like that. I think he has that kind of policy. So it takes some kind of intentionality to get these things really to come to pass. SALT also thinks that the income differential statement currently in South Africa is not. It says that one of the reasons why. She said that the income differential statement is currently in South Africa, and the Employment Conditions Commission is not permitted to disclose any identifiable information it receives, and that all that the public sees in South Africa is the aggregated data that informs this global. So generally anyway, SALT says that globally more and more multinationals are opting to disclose their pay gap data, even in the absence of a statutory obligation to do so. And so according to her, this would really help if South Africa can put in place a sort of like obligation to report a pay gap data, so to speak, every year, all right, just like as multinationals do, so that there can be a really assessment on how women are faring in the corporate world and in terms of payments of salaries. So finally, anyway, they argue that when women understand how severe the disparity is within their own workplaces, they will demand change. But they really do not, because these reports are not available. And so that's one of the reasons why businesses continue to perpetuate this, kind of like policies where it says that women, according to this report, it says that women earn 23 to 35% less than what men earn doing the same job in South Africa. So this is actually one of the reasons why McKenzie is really pushing for equality, especially from the perspective of sports, that at least even if sports can actually lead the way in this whole fight for gender equality, to really be something. And he's also a corporate guy. He actually has businesses also. So leading from the front would actually be something that probably would now start slowly pushing corporates and, businesses in South Africa to start considering the gender pay problem and really fight for women to have at least sort of like an equal pay with the men doing the same job, because there's really no obvious reason that if a woman and a man can actually be doing the same job. And I see this a lot in IT, in tech, in the area where I also have some experience. There's some really good women who are actually very good with programming, with doing media things. So there's really no explanation why their salaries I'm not able to really detect why the man should be earning higher than the woman. It's really not clear if they're both doing the same job. But anyway, that will be stories for another day. Share your thoughts. What do you think about getting McKenzie's interview here? Share your thoughts in the comments.